like we're starting to get settled. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Taking Market Share Through a Shift with KW Maps coaches Alexis Weigand and Emily Baker. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available within 24 hours on the Maps Fast Track YouTube channel. You may access the YouTube channel from your Zoom confirmation email, and we will share the link in the chat momentarily. Currently, everyone is on mute. We do value group participation, so we ask that if you have questions, please type them into the chat box. Your questions will be addressed by our coaches throughout your webinar. Following the meeting, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's fasttrack@kw.com. That's all for me. Alexis and Emily, take it away.
Thank you, Madeline. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. All right. So if you don't know me, I'm Alexis Weigand. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I am a MAPS coach. I'm also a mega agent. I am still taking the majority of our listings here in San Antonio. So I'm in production like the majority of you guys. For a little bit of background, we will do over 80 million in sales in San Antonio, and we are predominantly a listing-based business. As Gary coaches, we've always targeted to have 65% of our income come from listings and 45 buyer, and we're on pace with that. So I'm also here with my partner, Emily Baker. She's from Missouri. She's super impressive. She is a mastery maps coach, and she really only coaches the top teams in Gary's top 100 now. One of the things I know she won't brag about, but I will for her, is she led a team that was only taking 10 listings a month. And in just a couple of years, she was able to grow that team to taking over 50 listings a month. So between the two of us, we do have quite the track record that we have focused on listings. So we're excited to share that with you. If you haven't taken the course yet, we do offer a fast track group coaching program called the Mega Listing Agent. And today we're just going to give you a little snippet of what we go over in the program. We'll go over times and date of that towards the end. But I just want to say thank you guys for joining us and being on today. All right, Emily, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Yeah, love it. So, hey, everyone. So first off, to take market share through a shift, you've got to identify, we know we've all heard, right, what you focus on expands. So what are the top 3 to 5 lead sources that you're committed to doubling down on? So we've given you some examples here. There are multiple ways to win. That's the cool thing about our industry, right? It's a vast industry. You can lean into your strength zone, right? Some of you go, gosh, I hate cold calling, right? But I'm really, really good face-to-face. And some of you go, I'm a cold, calling killer. And I don't really want to dive in with my sphere of past clients. There are multiple ways to win. So what are your top 3 to 5 lead sources to double down on? I think it's really, really important that you know your strengths based on your results. So if we go to the next slide, what you'll see is lead source ROI. That's going to help you understand what lead sources to go into. What are you currently crushing? Gary says the goal is a minimum of a 4-to-1 ROI. So when you look at your listing taken, listing sold lead sources, give yourself permission to stop doing what's working. I think a lot of us, as we are, going through shift and we're rereading and we are cutting expenses and we are looking at what money is going out, it's really, really important to identify our strength zone and what's working and what's not. Give yourself permission to stop it on the things that you're pouring money in that we're not seeing solds from, or a minimum of 4-to-1 ROI. Hope's not a strategy, right? It's not, oh, I hope that this is going to work out, or I saw this on stage with someone else that's crushing it, so I'm going to try it, right? This is what we focus on expand. Let's really lean into our strength zone. The next thing is really finding the motivated, right? So there's a lot of talk about real estate right now, right? Media. Everyone's talking about inflation, real estate, interest rates, right? What's the housing market going to do? So when you're communicating with people, what are we doing in the time when we choose to double down on those specific lead sources? And it's a PAM model. It's prepare, action, maintain. Number one, you want to prepare. You want to know exactly who you're calling, when you're calling them, and it's on your calendar. And you want to role play, right? I look at the shift as a Super Bowl, right? We are going into the Super Bowl, and who's going to win the championship? Teams that don't show up to practice are not going to cut it. So you've got to be really confident, and you've got to be the market expert and really understand what's happening in your market and script and converse through it such that when you take action and you make those calls, you're confident and you know exactly what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, or if you're going to send an email, or if you're going to text someone, or if you're going to go knock on someone's door, whatever method you're going to take, you are prepared in that action. And maintenance is really, I like to use the term, make me feel important. Do what you say you're going to do, right? So if you say you're going to set someone up on a neighborhood watch nurture, do it. If you say that you're going to send them comps, do it, right? The number one complaint that people give a lot of times is that the agent didn't deliver. We didn't give the communication. We didn't have a sense of urgency. So rip the Band-Aid, do it, and block your time appropriately. That leads right into, prioritizing your plan. When you know your 3 to 5 lead sources that you're doubling down on, and you know that this is the method I'm going to take, and it's on your calendar, be really purposeful about it, not passive. And what I mean by that is, a lot of us have lead gen on our calendar or lead follow-up on our calendar. What we want to see is when you identify those lead sources is door knock this area, right? This specific neighborhood on your calendar. It's call 15 for sell by owners. It's call my Ds of my sphere of influence and past clients, right? DTD2. It's getting very hyper-focused. Sometimes thinking can lead to an action. So we want to take away the thinking time. Think on a massive scale of once a week, I'm going to plan my week. So then every day I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I have my list of people. I know exactly who I'm calling. I know exactly when I'm calling, and I can truly run the PAM model because I know what I'm going to say. I practice what I'm going to say. I then make the calls, and then I follow through on the commitments that I'm making.
All right, let's go to the next slide. Okay, price ahead of the market. So I would venture to say, irregardless where you sit, your market has changed in the last 2 months. I want you to put it in the chat channel. If you know it, amazing. What do you think in the last 2 months has changed? If you were to track one thing that was the most important thing for your clients, I guess tell me, what is it? What do you think is changing, and what are you tracking right now? If you only had one thing, put it in the chat channel. I want to see what you guys are focusing on and what your conversations are right now from a market number perspective. Days on market, about a 2% increase. Okay, months supply, price reductions, interest rates. Active listings. Okay, all of these are great. Let's go to the next slide. I want everything that you're telling me is helping you guys position yourself as the economist of choice. That is what Gary wants us to be. He wants everyone who is thinking about investing in real estate, buying a house, protecting their wealth, whatever it is, he wants us to be the economist of choice. So write this down right now. If you had one thing to focus on, one metric, it is going to be months supply. That is the definition. That's the one thing that we need to identify if we are in a buyer's market, a balanced market, or a seller's market. Put it in the chat channel if you know for the US how many months of supply what we need to be in equilibrium, to be in a balanced market. Yay! All right, seeing the chat channel blow up was 6 months, just in case you're driving and you don't have access to the chat channel. You're exactly right, 6 months. So we have been in a seller's market for our area in San Antonio and Texas. We still are. It's just that we went from under 2 weeks months supply to now we're sitting at almost 2 months supply. And we made that shift very quickly. Shifts happen quickly. So month supply is the one metric I want you to keep up with. And then there's also 2 things I want you to write these down that I think are really important. So if you're not doing this yet, I want you to commit to doing it today, because the number one thing we can do is number one, analyze data, but you can't tell the story unless you have the data. And oftentimes, if we just start doing it 1 week, 2 weeks, that's not enough. We need at least 2 months or 3 months of perspective. And then the visual, when you're with clients or you're talking to them, you can say, like, because so many people are visual learners, here's the change. So in the last 2 months, when we're going on our listing appointments, we're literally showing them the spreadsheet of our tracking. And we show them 2 things right now: active inventory and price reductions. From 2 months ago, 8 weeks, our price reductions are up 123%. Our active inventory is up 56%. If you knew those 2 numbers, even though we're in a seller's market, right, it is our job to educate. Here's where we have been. Unprecedented, uncharted appreciation, right, in the last 3 years. Here's where we are. It is still a very financially smart decision if you're looking to make a move to exit, capitalize on getting your equity out. And yet most of our sellers want to know, what's the third piece? They want us to recap, where have we been? Where are we now? What's the next thing they want to know? Put it in the chat channel so I can see that I'm making sense here. If I meet with a seller and then I say, all right, they're going to know these things, right? Here's where we've been. Here's where they think and we think we are. That's exactly right, Katrina. Where are we going? What's the forecast? We can't forecast and have credibility without numbers. And you can talk about the US numbers and national numbers, but I want all of you to focus on your local numbers. So go pull these. Look at your month supply. What percentage is your active inventory up and what percentage is your price changes up? And for the majority of us, there's also 2 things that are constant right now. And that is pretty much going to be your days on market and your average sales price. That hasn't started to dip dramatically yet, but in the direction that we're going in, it most likely will as the Fed continues to raise the rate. That's it. I really wanted you guys to walk away with those 3 things. On the slide, we have active listings, new listings, number of pendings, price changes, expireds, average price, sales price to or list price to sales price ratio. If I had to pick one more to articulate the market and setting great expectations, because when we set great expectations, we eliminate objections. If you have been averaging 106, so like we were averaging 107% of list price. If I were to go in off of my past data and say, here's what you can expect from us, this is what we've been doing for the last year, that would be a false expectation. Part of that is our negotiating and our marketing and our systems. Part of that is the market. We cannot take credibility or credit for 107%. Part of that was the market that we were in. And as the market shifts, we need to also shift the expectations with the clients. So all of that to say, I think when we show up with these numbers, we immediately earn respect and credibility. And ultimately, these sellers just want to be told what to do. They want to make sure they're making an educated decision based on facts. And that's what I want you to deliver to them. Anything you'd add to that, Emily? Any questions, anyone?
Yeah, I think facts trump feelings, right? When we have clarity, we gain certainty. And when we're unclear, we have no sense of urgency, right? We're just not sure. And we're indecisive. And I think a lot of us are meeting with sellers and they're not sure, right? They're not sure of where to go. They're not sure of, is it the right time? Is it not the right time? we're seeing that across the board. There's a lot of uncertainty, and the facts trump the feelings. And it's, using the example I used, I've got a 6-year-old son, Benson. And if I were to say, hey, buddy, what's 4 times 4? And he were, to say 8. And I'm like, nope, try again. Nope, try again. Right. And eventually he may get it right. But if he doesn't understand how to do the math problem, he's never going to know. It's just like those of you that gamble, right? You're never going to play blackjack or poker if you don't see your hand, right? Some of you are wild and play blind, and that's great. And yet when it comes to thousands of dollars, a lot of these sellers don't want to play blind. They want to see their cards. Where do I stand against the hand, such that they make the best decision and understanding of the market. So the goal is have them understand the problem, right? Have them articulate and understand what their hand is and what their play is.
Looking at the chat channel, it's making me smile. Yeah, just to add to the Economist of choice, people know, generally speaking, that we've been in a strong market. If you were to poll your sellers going in and ask them, do you know how much appreciation we had last year or in the last 3 years? How many of your sellers would actually know this? Because if I were to pull that on every one of my listing appointments, it would probably be, well, I feel like it's gone up a lot, right? Or Zillow says this, so it's gone up a lot. So I also think, right, for us, we pull just saying, like for us, it's San Antonio is a steady and stable market. We typically have 3 to 4% appreciation year over year. However, in 2019, we had 10%. In 2020, we had 17%. And in 2021, we had another 17%. The last 3 years have been unprecedented for us. We've had such an appreciation. And that will also help you, right, with the conversation of, when did they buy? How much equity do they have in their house? And just doing some, instead of micro, because these numbers that we're talking about are going micro, they're market specific. Take them also out to we go micro, we go small. And then we take a step back, we look at it from a bird's eye, a macro perspective. And we say, okay, real estate is just like the stock market. Our cycles are typically 7 to 10 years. Now, I always recommend asking this in a question format because you're going to engage at a higher level saying, so do you know how the real estate market differs from the stock market as far as terms of cycle? We're going to say whatever. You say it's actually exactly the same, 7 to 10 year cycles. So because we've had 13 years of appreciation and the last 3 have been unprecedented, and now the Fed has raised the rates, right? Inflation is up 8.6%. All of these things, and just do a little bit of education, are creating a downward pressure. And you can throw in a, did you know, right? Because if they're buying, did you know that for every 1% that the interest rate goes up, it costs the buyer, the purchaser, almost 11% on their monthly payment. So if they're buying, right, even more reason why they want to lock their interest rate in now. Sell now, get your capital out, and then go lock in a lower rate. There is a question on the difference between active listing versus new listing. So for typically most MLSs, it's going to be a 7 to 10 day period that something is brand new to the market versus all of the active inventory, whether that's new, active, back on the market, price change, right? So you're taking all of the categories in an active listings. And on this slide, you can see it's around 1,200. And then new listings are brand new to the market in the last week to 10 days, depending on your MLS. I think I got to all the questions.
Yeah, someone asked, some good questions to ask the sellers to see that the shift is coming. And I think it's just giving them this information. Remember, most people are visual, right? So when you have the data in front of you, whether it's on a Mac or an iPad or a printout, I don't care what it is, right? Whatever is the efficient and effective way for you. But when you have the data in front of you, you can show them the data and just ask them the question, what do you see with active inventory? What do you see with new listings? What do you see with price changes? And then when you ask them, they're going to communicate and articulate, and that's going to trigger in their brain of understanding, and that's going to help them process through the decision-making process. And it's going to get them to the decisiveness, right? Because discussions don't always lead to decisions, and it's the clarity that is going to lead to the certainty. So, yeah, I think we've covered that. So the next thing is really standing out from the competition, right, Alexis?
Yeah, I want to answer one question real quick. One of you asked, how often do you pull this data? I recommend creating a spreadsheet, take the categories we gave you, and I want you to have your assistant or you put it in every week, because our market is shifting that quickly. If you're looking at this month to month, I don't think that's going to give you enough data. We put this in every week. On a Monday, we pull our numbers so it's consistent. And then over time, right, this visual that Emily was talking about, you can now talk about and write those percentages or the main 2 or 3 points you want to address, but you have the visuals and the patterns are very clear.
Yeah, everyone, I just dropped a Google sheet in the chat for you all to go ahead and make a copy of. Please make a copy so you don't mess up my spreadsheet, and yet make a copy. You can track your numbers and moving forward in that document. It's all lined out for you.
Knowing your numbers is going to help you stand out from the competition. When we get a listing agreement signed, I always pause and I just say, hey, I really appreciate you choosing to partner with us. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. This is where our passion is. This is how we help people. May I ask you, what if you had to choose one thing, because most of the time we're going up against at least 2 to 3 other agents. If you had to choose one reason why you're choosing right now to partner with us, what would that be? And I think that's just a great time, right? When you get the buy-in that them saying, hey, we want to hire you, say thank you, show gratitude, and get clarity. To them, what was the most important thing that you did really well that made them choose to partner? And for us, it's that we consistently show up more prepared than the other person. And I think when you know your numbers, you can spend as little or as much time as you like to spend on the micro. But when you talk about, or like, meaning the neighborhood CMA market analysis. And yet if you just know your local numbers and even just your national numbers as well, and you have a higher level conversation, and you maybe have a couple printouts or pictures, that you don't have to redo the prep work every time. So opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. Gary often says what defines the successful from the unsuccessful is that the successful ones are the ones that are choosing to do what they don't want to do. If we woke up every day and just said, you know what, I'm only going to do what I want to do, by definition, that's not going to get you usually to where you want to be. So some of this is going to take work to pull these numbers, and yet over time, just like anything, it gets easier.
Yeah. And I think in turn to that, Alexis, Gary said recently on a call, it's the prospecting based marketing enhanced teams that always thrive in a shift. And so when you look at it from that perspective of going back to the lead sources that we showed you all, right? It's what are the prospecting lead sources that, yeah, it may be uncomfortable, right? But the first time you do something, it's uncomfortable, right? The second time it gets a little bit easier. The third time it gets a little bit easier. But what are you committed to crushing? And once you know the numbers, your numbers do the heavy lifting, right? Once you are the economist of choice, you are the market expert. I'll go head to head with an expired any day, right? Because I know more than they do, and that's okay. And I think that that's something just really leaning into the prospecting aspect is really going to help with all of your businesses when it comes to driving listings, which leads us to attaching a MOFR to each lead source. Who knows what a MOFR means? Type it in. Someone knows. Y'all are smart. I know you know.
Make offer. Good job.
Yeah, make offer for immediate response. So on a MOFR, basically, Gary mentioned on a call last week that the top agents that thrive in a shift have 3 to 5 top lead sources with MOFers attached to them. So you can think of a make offer for immediate response in a lot of ways, right? You can think of it as a staging, right? Staging would be one. We offer free staging. You can think of it as a message of the market. You can think of it as a buy now, sell later program. You can think of it as, I have 25 buyers looking in your subdivision. What price would you sell your home for? So it's all about the messaging, right? And those who own a specific message and capitalize for each lead source. And the best way to do this, you guys, is to think about the top. Go back. Pierre, can we go back to the slide with the 3 to 5 lead sources? Some people are asking, and I just want to give some examples on this, please. Thank you. Okay, so when we look at this and we go, okay, for sale by owner, what's the problem that most for sale by owners have? What's the biggest objection when it comes to a for sale by owner? They don't want to pay what? Commissions. Mark, yes, that's exactly it. So have a flexible commission structure, right? It's those kind of things. Expireds. What are expireds frustrated at? They're frustrated and they have doubt in the market, right? They're not sure. It's the facts. Hey, this is how many properties I've sold year to date. These are my results, my list price to sales price. It's giving you the edge of, you know, how to sell properties in this market, right? Under contract postcards is another example of Alexis did it again, multiple offers in less than 24 hours, ready to be the next one, give us a call. They're just immediate responses that are going to drive urgency. Do whatever you need to do to take the listing. I think that's the biggest thing that we would leave you with is, Gary always says, you know, whatever it takes, that is this market. You know, we've been talking a lot about The Hard Thing About Hard Things, which is a book that you should all read. And, you know, being a peacetime versus a wartime CEO, and this is wartime and it's time to go take your own fair share. So Alexis, why don't you tell them what's next?
Yep. So I'll let us catch up to the slide. We together facilitated, we facilitate and we wrote the Mega Listing Agent. It's a fast track group coaching program. Pierre, if we can go to that slide, please, just so that they can have that in front of them. So we do launch September 7th. If you want to block your calendar off, if you like something that we've given you today and you want to join us for more, we have ours blocked off to give back to the MAPS and the Fast Track community. Wednesdays at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard is when Emily and I do all of our Fast Track coaching. So the Mega Listing Agent, and I just want to also say that if you're a new agent and you've never been taking a listing and you're like, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do, this course is for you. We will lay the groundwork for you. We will be tactical and tell you, here's what to say, here's how to say it, here's what to prepare for. Also, if you're like me and you lead a mega team and your goal is to go enhance and tweak your systems and your processes to go take market share, this course is for you. That's what Emily and I have both done. So September 7th, 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Wednesdays. It's only 2 installments, 2 payments of $250. Remember, this is an investment in yourself. And as Gary says, the first time you take a course, you're in first grade. The second, you're in second. We've had some people take it 3 and 4 times with us. So I hope we see you on the 5th time. And so if you want to take get your phones out, we have a QR code for you. You can open your camera and that'll take you directly to the sign up. And then the next slide I have for you is August 3rd on Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. Central Standard. We are going to do another 30-minute webinar for you, and it's going to go over the mega marketing plan for your listings. This is important as we start to shift and sellers go, why is my house not selling? You're going to want to know exactly what you're going to want to tell them and how to create a mega marketing plan. So with that, we want to share our appreciation and gratitude, say thank you for investing this time, and we look forward to hopefully leading you on the journey to taking market share. Thanks everyone.
Bye.